painting session. This is both a painting session as well as a model review. And we're going to talk a little bit about some Blood Bowl models from GW. If you want to check out the video where I actually build this team, this is the Snotling team, and we're going to review a couple of the units. We're going to do a little bit of painting, and I want to do specifically a review of a company and a model that I got recently, so you guys can take a look at it, and we're going to start painting a little bit to make sure that we are good to go. Now, before I make it a little bit, let's see here. As always, I apologize for the late night video. I wanted to get you guys a couple more videos today, and we're going to do that. So we're going to paint a little bit and, like I said, do some reviews. And I was just double checking because I should have some information about this particular company, which actually I think it's on the base. So it's Bloodbowl Games is who we're going to be taking a look at. So I want to talk a little bit about, because of course I did label this video as a Warhammer video, which it is, because of course this is going to be for the Warhammer Snotlings team. So again, if you're not familiar with Blood Bowl, Blood Bowl is actually a company by the name of Games Workshop, who you may know from such games as Warhammer Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40k, are the makers of also a box game called Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl is essentially, and this is probably the most ridiculous version of Blood Bowl that I could show, but Blood Bowl is essentially, sorry guys, pop that in. Blood Bowl is essentially exactly what it sounds like. It's fantasy-based football. So imagine if fantasy characters were to actually play the game of football, but in a fantasy world. This is the Snotling team, who, if you'd like to see, saying it again, I'm repeating myself, you could check out the video where actually build the units in the team. We reviewed the model kit. We reviewed actually everything about the team. We reviewed the team book, the cards, everything you would need possibly or potentially to play. So this is the pump wagon that you're looking at now. This is one of the typical models. And then most of your unit models are going to be like this. So the Snotlings are pretty small, pretty agile little guys. They have some really cool rules. But what I wanted to focus on tonight, and what we're going to start painting up, is this is from, again, Bloodbowl Models. Bloodbowl Games is a independent company who actually makes a lot of the star players for Blood Bowl. So for folks that are not familiar with Blood Bowl, like I said, this is what you saw here are the general units, or general members of the team. But then you can also grab and incorporate on your team star players. Star players are going to give you additional, they'll have their stats are better, they have more abilities and all that kind of stuff. But what is interesting about the star players is that GW has a ton of rules for star players, but doesn't necessarily make all the models for them. And this is intriguing because Blood Bowl has this sort of part of it where model bashing, kit, where the hobby comes alive, where you do custom models, is very much encouraged. Or using alternative models. So there's like a lot of different ways to go about doing it. But there are also some third-party companies out there that actually make those star player models, or at least things you can use to sub in for those star players. So for the Snotling team, one of their star players is actually a Snotling that is riding a cave squig. So if you're not familiar with the goblins from any of their fantasy war games, the goblins tend to incorporate and employ these giant cave squigs to come and attack others. So they're usually unpredictable. They're usually very dangerous. And as you can see in this one, it's like slightly like a mutated cave squig, or more robust one. It's got more teeth. It's got more eyes. It's pretty intense. And I just think I noticed this. Does it have arms, or is that? Oh no, that might be just like um, that might actually be like, I gotta know what that is because I'm gonna paint it. I think that's some chains. Excuse me for the yawning. And as you can see, the goblin, the snotling, is very much riding for his life. But you'll notice that he does have football gear on, so he does have like shoulder pads or like fantasy shoulder pads, shorts. It's got some pockets or satchels. Now this model is a metal model. That's one of the cool things I like about Grebo games is that they do metal models, so it's very old school, like GW used to. But as you can see, even though they do a metal model, it's still a very sophisticated mold. So they're not doing, what a lot of us I think when we think of metal models, which is the sort of corny GW, Gen 1 molds that a lot of us are familiar with if you know older fantasy or older, even Blood Bowl, because Blood Bowl, of course, has been around just as long as fantasy has. So, very interesting. But I love this goblin. Very detailed, obviously very animated. And I'm sorry that I'm blanking. I should have had the card for that Starplayer, which I don't. But yeah, the Starplayer is kind of interesting. And pretty much all the Starplayers for the goblin team are very all over the place. I love the new model kit, for the team itself. But let's get to some painting. Let's get to some jumping in. So I'm noticing right off the bat that I'm going to have to do one thing. And this is true sometimes. It's been a while since I've painted actually a metal model. And this is true when I used to paint the metal models more frequently. You have to be a little bit more strategic when you're priming them. I should have done probably a double coat of primer. Oh, sorry. Because the double coat of primer would have alleviated the shine that you see. So when I was doing my primer, the primer, it went on pretty well, but not as well as it should have. Now, what's uniquely interesting, but you'll see I'm using a particularly different white. It's not really going to mean much when I'm doing it, but the reason I'm using this white is that this white will, this is titanium white, and it's very, very loose when you put it on. So it's a layer white, so it's a little on the transparent side, and that's very good for what I'm doing because I can keep it very light, but I can keep it extremely light, but just cover the areas that I need to reprime, so that I get that coverage, but I don't cover up the detail. Because what when you do this, I always call it hand priming, but when you do something like this, the issue that you can run into is that if you're very heavy-handed with your primer, you can actually take away some of the detail. But what I'm planning on doing is I just want to go back over some areas so that I can make sure that it doesn't have as you can see, it's got a little bit of a shimmer to it. And then what I'm going to do, just to make life a little bit easier, since the white is a little bit of an off-white, I might use that opportunity to just put it into the eyeballs and go over the other stuff, because then it'll lighten up the eyeballs, and if I do any coloring to them, it'll prime in the same vein. But again, I'm just lightly going in because I want to make sure that the base that's set for this, it's just very expansive, and we don't see any any silver bleeding through there, because I'm using, and I've talked about the paints that I'm using, but because I'm using the contrast paints, I don't want anywhere for there to really be that shining metal, because if I'm using those contrast paints, they actually won't. You're not going to see them actually come up at all on that metal. They'll sit there. They won't have anything to cling to, because I didn't realize when I was priming this, just how challenged the primer was when it was going onto the model, and it didn't necessarily hit every area. So I'm just going through now, and I'm trying to like I said, just do a little bit of brush priming, just to fix those areas. Now, if I was doing this the way I should be doing it, which I'm kind of not, I should have obviously matched the primer. It shouldn't cause a big deal once it's all said and done. But now you can see how that shimmer, that silver shimmer, is off. So that's all I wanted to do to make sure I was good there. And then we're going to just paint them up as a proper squig. So let me get my blood red contrast. And again, this is from Gabo Games. They're an Italian-based company, and they make quite a bit of the Starplayer characters from Bloodbowl. So if you're looking for Starplayer models, I cannot go on any more about how I would recommend them. Not only for, one of the things that I was super duper impressed with this company was the fact that they have that they do metal models, but the metal on the models, the metal models themselves are so highly detailed, even though they're metal, that they just look awesome. And I don't know, there's something about metal models, and I don't know, for you guys that are veteran GW folks, what your thoughts are on them, but I don't know, I always, every time I once in a while get a metal model, I really enjoy the fact that they're, I enjoy that they're beefier. I enjoy that, you feel like when you're using the model, it's got some weight to it, whereas the plastic models are so, they're just, they obviously they have a more fragile feel, right? Because they're plastic. But you just feel like there's a bigger weight to them, which I always liked. Alright, well, that was a loud bang. Alright, I'm going to have to figure out another method. I think that's going to have to be a hook. That scared me. Just going with a bigger brush now, because I want to get that red filled in, so I can move on to potentially having the same problem with my brush focusing on the wrong thing. Yeah, so I'm just going in, and then again, we're just getting all that wonderful goodness. And this is Blood Angel Red that I'm using for the main coloring. What you're gonna see me do for some of these other parts of him is that I will probably repaint some of him white, so I can put in some lighter colors for some of his spots. Oh, he does have hands. Those are hands. Oh, interesting. It's a cave squig with hands. I've actually seen. Usually they don't have hands. So that's an interesting little new tidbit for them. And you can see how well the contrast is getting to all those areas. So like I said, I'll go back over some of it with white. Because I don't know, I've done it before. I like when I'm doing cave squigs, and in this case, so actually some of them I might actually leave if I know that I'm going to go back in with white. I like doing my cave squigs. I like having all the ridges, and like I don't like to just make them. A lot of people will make them red and just do highlights. I like to actually go in and really build up these ridges and like other stuff so they look more unique. And then because this guy, you know, it's kind of a mix, because you don't necessarily, he is a Bloodbowl character because he's got like the pads and stuff, but I could also probably still use him in my Gitz army. So I want to paint him in a way that he can sit into my Gitz army. And what I've done with my Gitz army, which was I was doing a squig based Gitz army, I could fit him into that mechanic because I was actually painting all the squigs different colors, so it looked like they came from like different litters of squigs, so that they weren't all just red. Because traditionally when you paint squigs, most people just paint them all red, because that's like the traditional GW way to paint them. And you know, not that there's anything wrong with that. I just like having a little bit of diversity in my scheme. Yeah, and you can see how awesome that contrast looks. And again, I've said it before in other painting videos that I've done. I've been using the contrast, so you're going to see a lot of different layers that I'm going to go through with this. I've started to use the contrast paints as that first layer to really base out the model, and then I start to build on top of that. And sometimes that'll be with contrast paints, sometimes it'll be with other stuff. But yeah, it was a pretty awesome find. Now they're like I said, this is an Italian-based model company. And what's kind of crazy is that I ordered this model, and I want to say it came within like 3 days. Like the turnaround time was unbelievable, and I'm definitely going to peruse this site and order, I'm sure, a few more for my other teams for models that I don't have. I'm gonna check out what they have. Although I have some plans for some of the other Starplayers, which we're gonna see done on this channel. Unfortunately, this is gonna probably be a shorter painting video. My goal is to only go for probably like another 20-30 minutes, but we'll get some stuff done beforehand. I'd love to hear in the comments if you are avid Bloodbowl fans. I'm always curious to know what people are working on, what teams are working on. Um, Obviously for Blood Bowl, a lot of cool announcements. I'm wondering what everybody's thinking of the new, the new rules and the new potential box set that's coming out, and just in general what people's thoughts are. I know it's always a fun time when they shake it up and do like new rule sets and things like that. Oh wait, do they have? Oh, does he have pads on? No, that's his skin, right? Yeah, that's all his skin. So like I said, I'm just going over it with the red. Some of the warts or ridges, I might start to leave some of them white, but I'll go back into them too. All right, so you guys, all right, so apparently Saturday nights, or I should say, Saturday night late night painting is still a hit because a lot of you guys are here. And like I said, don't be shy. Please say hi. Let me know what you're working on. If you like what you're seeing, if you like the models and you find it interesting, again, we're working on a third-party Blood Bowl model. So this is not a GW model. It is third-party, but it is for the Blood Bowl miniature game, of course. And this is from Gabo Games. And they do, like I said, a bunch of the they have a bunch of models for Starplayers. So if you're looking to get Starplayer models that are not made by GW, the models that they have not yet made or have not licensed to be made or you can find on Forge World, because of course for most of us Blood Bowl players, if you're looking for something that wasn't released by GW through their regular line, you tend to find this type of stuff on Forge World. And I'm not trying to bash GW, but I think most of us, when we hear Forge World, we have a specific I'm gonna call it a specific perspective of what that means, and probably I'm gonna guess for a lot of us, myself included, when I hear you got to get the model on Forge World or it's available on Forge World, I instantly think I'm gonna have to spend a lot of money to get this model. Because Forge World, for folks that don't know, Forge World is part of GW, kind of. It's a separate part of GW, but the secret to them is that they actually I was trying not to do that. All right. They actually charge. They are their premium model company, so they charge a different rate or fee for their models, and for a lot of us, especially folks who play Blood Bowl, that can become extremely frustrating, because they, I'm not going to say that in order to play Blood Bowl you need these other characters or models, because technically you do not. But if you're going to play in, let's say, a league, or you're going to play in, let's say, just a different venue with your Blood Bowl team, if you do not have these types of models, or you don't have these types of units or players, it can make your ability to, do well, I think, compromised. Because as much as you might try, as much as you might try, you will more than likely not. You probably won't do as well as some of the other people that you're playing with. Just because, without heavier units, in some cases, you may find your team is lacking. And then there are certain teams, the ones that we're working on in particular, that I don't want to say are unplayable if you don't have star players or other things, but it definitely makes your life a lot harder when you don't have these units. And the new Snotling team, which I should clarify, technically the Snotling team is not the Goblin team. There is still a Goblin team in Bloodbowl, but teams like these to become more competitive, usually we'll need their specialty units to do that. So it is very implied, if as it were. It's very implied that you need those units to, in my opinion, succeed as a Blood Bowl player. And some of that comes down with the fact that something like goblins, they're so stunty, they're so weak strength wise, that you need the specialty units, because the specialty units will do tricky things, or they'll use tricky tactics to actually like steamroll your opponent or do things to your opponent. So you do actually want to have those units. It's also the fact that a lot of the Goblin units, even the specialty ones, have a lot of rules for essentially their units are, if you think about it like wrestling, they're using all the dirty tricks that wrestlers might use. So the classic wrestling joke of the classic wrestling joke of foreign object, which is a good one. He has a foreign object, and that whole thing. They do a lot of that type of stuff. So even even this guy, this star player, oh Jesus, I'm sorry guys. Yeah, even him, he's got something called he's got something called dirty weapon, not dirty weapon, secret weapon is what I meant. So secret weapon, what that basically means is that when he's doing an attack, you actually have to roll a die, and there is a chance that he will actually be thrown out of the game. So that's why it's a little dodgy sometimes to use characters like something like this, because you can pay the points on your team and then have bad luck where he's actually removed from the game. and then all that point that you invested in him ends up going away because you know he gets removed from the field. You know, just like you would think in any sport, if somebody was caught cheating, you know, they would you know, they would be instantly removed for their cheating ways. Yeah, so now we're getting into the nitty gritty. Those wonderful, wonderful eyes, which I will more than likely be incorporating my magnifying glasses to get that nice and tight. But as you can see, just with that one coat of red, he's already looking really, really awesome. And like I said, I'm gonna start to bring in some other colors. Actually, do I want to bring in... No, I'm gonna stick with my plan. I want him to be a traditional, like, red squig. I'll give him a twist with the horns. I'm gonna make all of his like little horns that he has. All the little horns I'm gonna make a different color. So he'll have like a unique take to his to him. And if you guys like what you're seeing, I will be continuing to paint quite a lot of models, and we're going to be painting you know, Kings of War stuff. We're going to be painting 40k stuff, some more Age of Sigmar stuff. Like I definitely do not have a shortage of things to paint. That is for sure and for certain. I have plenty of models to paint, plenty of things to put together. So you guys are going to see a bunch of stuff coming out of our channel. So the best way to be informed and to know when that's going to happen. Oh, geez. I already... Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to go in and tidy this up because I already definitely messed up and painted eye sockets the wrong color, so I'll have to go in there and get that all settled and straightened. But it's gonna be funny. You guys will see the Snotling team is going to be very, very fast to paint because they're so small. So it'll be a lot of quick painting due to their size, because they're just not going to need a lot of attention. You know, it has potential to take me a minute, only because since they are very small, like you're seeing here, I'm gonna have to, you know, I obviously have to take my time and concentrate on what I'm doing, but and probably the most time it'll take is also the fact that because this is a third-party model, I may have to just take a minute or two to look at it, to be like, oh, okay, this is this, this is that. What can I do here? So it might just be a couple of minutes of me figuring all of that out. And like I said, I can't wait to get my hands on a little bit more of potentially some Kings of War stuff, because they have a lot of new, pretty exciting models coming out. They just announced a few other things, so I'm looking forward to getting that off the ground and doing some more of their stuff. But like I said, with this particular model, I'm trying to go with giving him a little characteristic, but I do want to make it so it's in line. Even though this is going to be for the Bloodbowl team, I want it to be in line with my actual Goblin army from Age of Sigmar, because if I decide to use him as a proxy in those armies, not a proxy, if I use him as a model in there, I want to be able to do that. And it's funny, as you guys see me paint, whoops, you're gonna see this more and more come alive. So this is my favorite part about painting. As you go and go, you'll start to see more and more of the model get painted, and then you'll be like, ooh. But yeah, we got so much. I got so much going on. I got Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff to still paint. Then we got to do a big battle royale for you guys. Yeah. Now I was gonna say, if you like tabletop stuff and you want to see another video, you should totally check out the other video we did where we played the Funkoverse game, which was one of our first videos of all of us playing together in the same room. Obviously using, obviously taking, caution of wearing masks and, trying to social distance quite a bit. Yeah, this is a tough one. This is a tough model. It's gonna be easier, like I said, to just go in, get everything painted red. That's a squig. Leave those horns out. Try to repaint those, and then I'll come back in with white, because I like to do. I think I said it before. I like to do some of the ridges. Like I like to bring an orange in there or a yellow in there, just to make some of the ridges more interesting. I'm leaving some of them purposely not painted because they're easy not to get around, so I can come back to them later. But I may choose to do more of them later. So and with the horns, I may have to come back in, and re-whiten them just to get it. But so far so good. We're trucking away. Now it looks like this model may suffer for something. I talk about a lot, which is, you know, I always say it. I'm not able to visualize a model. I might have to take it off this. Um, I'm not always able to visualize a model until it's actually like together. But what I'm having trouble with now is the actual underneath. So this is why sometimes it's not a good idea always to put the base on the model, because even with a holder, it makes it harder for you to get in there to actually paint. So, you know, I've learned from my mistakes most of the time, but you know, it just makes it can make it a little bit more challenging to get things in there and to get things done. If you practice enough, you can figure out ways to still get in there, like you just saw me do essentially with that leg, which in turn lets me get a hit on that stuff. Because not that anybody's going to see that, but if they look underneath or you lift it up, you know, they can see you didn't paint the whole thing. Now, the reason I'm of mind to do what I do and to do it this way is because the reason I like to build a model, and I've said it multiple times, is that I like to have the model together to figure out shadowing. Because I find it very difficult and very hard to figure out shadows, because, you know, I always say it when we paint, you know, you are painting a three-dimensional object. So when you paint, natural shadows will happen, and it's much easier for me, at least, when it is together, to see how the natural shadows fall. So I can emphasize them with another color, I can edge highlight them, I can figure out what I want to do. But you just see how mystical and magical that the contrast paint is, because we've only put one coat of contrast paint on, and already we're seeing, you know, that the model has some depth to it. You know, there's some tone, there's some depth, and we're just gonna, you know, we're gonna take our time and we're gonna enhance that a little bit. Now, also, and I've done a bad job in previous videos of saying this, I should preface that, of course, he is a special character. So what you guys are going to notice is going to happen is that I'm going to go for a much much more detailed paint job on him than if it was just like a unit or other thing. And also, I always say it in these videos, you know, I tend to, you know, I do tend to, nah, I didn't keep that. I do tend to go a little bit more detailed on all my paints. So even my more general units, I have a tendency to give them a high-end paint. And I only say that because if you're looking at what I'm doing and you go, well, you know what? I would never do it that way. That might be why, because I do tend to embellish my painting. Because, you know, I talk about it a lot, and I'm about to give you guys some information about, you know, me and everything. But you know, I am a commission painter. I do take on commissions for painting minis and miniatures and tabletop stuff. So for me, every mini that I put on the field, any mini I put where I play against someone, I say it a lot, it's a calling card. You know, so all of it is a calling card. It's a reflection of your work. So I always want to make sure that that calling card is precise, and that that calling card is good, and that people you know, like what they see. Um, so that's why for all of my models, I do have a tendency to go I have a tendency to go a little bit more overboard. Another thing of why, going back to the why do I build the models before I paint them thing. The other reason that I do that is that in the case, not as much for these guys because these are single characters, but for the case of larger things that you may encounter, you know, like vehicles or other stuff like that, I like to put them together because, you know, specifically with vehicles, sometimes you put a vehicle together and you realize that there's a whole like inside cockpit or just different parts of it that you literally can't see. So, you know, I also like to do that because if you can't see that piece of the model or you can't see that piece of the vehicle, what's the point of painting it? And that's how I kind of look at that, you know, not in a negative bad way, but it's like, why waste the time of painting it if you're never ever going to see it? So that is another reason that I like to do the assembly before I paint. Now, of course, you know, for anyone else that's out there, there are other ways, other reasons you might want to paint the inside. So I'm not saying it's wrong, but you know, you might want to paint the inside because if you're going to magnetize it in any way where you will see the inside of it, you know, you may see value in doing that. I might do something different with that. And this is what I meant before. By what probably is going to take me more time is the fact that, like I said before, since it is not a GW model, I may just have to spend a minute or so figuring out, you know, what is what. Because, you know, when you go to a third-party company, I mean, I will say for this particular one, they seem to have done a really nice job with keeping their model consistent with GW's models. So if I were to put this in with you know, the normal goblins or snotlings, it looks pretty good. So, but I love, you can see already just like how as you pick away at that paint, it just becomes more and more apparent how cool it's going to look. All right. Well, I said I was going to keep this video to a little bit of a shorter content because I know it's late, and I wanted to test out what Friday nights were like, and it looks like quite a few of you were watching. Not a lot of you participated in the live chat, and that's okay. I'm going to try to get you guys at least, I mean, my goal is to get you guys at least one video every day. But I'm going to try to do, I want to try to do 2 videos. So one video that's going to be, could be an unboxing, it could be video game related, and another video that's painting. So every day we're doing some sort of painting. I might fling in there a couple of drawing videos too. I'm not sure yet. But I think painting's going to take the dominant on the channel just because I have a lot of projects I have to get finished. We got to get the Hellboy stuff done so we can get a Hellboy playthrough done for you guys. We want to get also Marvel Crisis Protocol, all that stuff painted. Now that I got the studio together and I have the table, I can show you guys some terrain building stuff. So there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming. I just have to get the ball rolling and we got to do it. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of model. It was a paint video, but it also was a review of Gabo Games Starplayer models that they sell for Bloodbowl. I really urge you to check them out. I'm going to reach out to them and definitely show them samples of their model painted by me. And I'm probably going to grab a couple. I was really impressed with the service. It is in euros. So I will say their prices are pretty comparable to GW's. So it's maybe a little cheaper than Forge World, but it's still kind of Forge World prices. So not something that I think you could do for like a crazy set of them, but if you have that Bloodbowl team and you want to grab some star players, you can definitely get those there. Again, this is the star player for the Snotling team. I forget his name. I didn't bring the card out, so forgive me, guys, in there. If you want to throw it in the comments, you can do that too. But yeah, he basically rides a giant squig. Because, of course, the Snotlings would have a guy riding a giant squig as a star player, similar to how the Halflings have a Halfling that rides a goat as their star player, which I think is also pretty amazingly fun. Again, I love the models. They're high quality. They're metal. The sculpts to me are pretty awesome. The other sculpts were really dynamic. But check them out. I was impressed by the fact that I ordered it, and like within 3 or 4 days, actually might have been even, yeah, I think it was about 4 days, I actually got in the mail. It's an Italian company, so it came from Italy, DHL World Priority, and got right to my door. It was pretty sick and crazy. And I'm hoping to grab a couple more models. Like I said, I would love to share with them the link and their publicity, so we'll see. Maybe I can review some more of their models as they get them. But yeah, like I said, proper metal models. Just use super glue for them, and I prime them in the gray sea or white and using the contrast paints on them, and it's working very well. So you guys will see me do the rest of the Snotling team and our hero. And if you enjoyed what you heard, or you enjoyed part of what you heard, which I urge you to go back to the beginning of the video and watch this when you have time, if you missed it, please consider following the channel. Following the channel is probably the best and easiest way to support us. It's free. It doesn't cost anything to do that. You'll also notice a couple of links down below. Those links are for my YouTube channel. Some of the videos you see on my Twitch channel will be repeats on YouTube. Some of them won't be, because Twitch only holds on to videos for a certain period of time, so you can see some content there. My YouTube channel, why you want to follow that or subscribe to it, is that we will eventually have some original content. Not there yet. Got to get a lot of prep work done first. But now that we got the studio and a better space for me to work underway and pretty much done, we can tackle those other issues. You'll also see our Facebook page. You'll also see my website and Patreon. My website and Patreon are other monetary ways to support the channel, because in order for me to purchase all the models and materials and things that I do, that support is greatly appreciated. I know that's a little tough for some folks right now, so I don't expect that support. I only say it because it allows me to do more. The idea is that the money all goes back into the channel, so the equipment and differences that you're seeing in my streams are all because of support like that. So the more and more support I have, the better I can make everything. And eventually, with more support, I can introduce merchandise and other things that I want to do, but I got to get some support before I can do that. So check out that link to the Patreon. Patreon's not related to painting or modeling. It is actually related to my independent comic work. So you can actually get signed up and get access to those indie strips, which I will be getting another one out to you guys shortly. I fell a little bit behind on my last strip, but I have others in the pipeline. So you'll see all that original content. And of course, I want to do some great rewards for Patreon members with that, show you behind the scenes stuff, all that good stuff. So think about considering following. If you want to just donate $1, there is a Patreon tier level for that. But you could also do, there is a special bracket of Patreon right now for $8 a month. You can actually get access to the comics and some custom artwork, which I'm working on and I'll have up there, custom wallpapers and such. I may have some other tiers that'll come if I get some more support. So stay tuned for all that. But check out those links. Check it all out. Please follow the channel. Hope to see you at the next video that we do. I will try to do videos a little bit earlier, not so late. So thank you all. Please stay safe, wash your hands, and please respect everybody on this planet, because without everybody working together, we will never get to the next step and solve the problems that we are all facing day to day. All right, take care, everybody. We'll see you very, very soon.